Sat Shri Akal, Namaste, Hello. Today I am here with a second chapter, that is control and coordination. In our daily routine, we see various types of movements, and these movements are because of various reasons. The main reason is if any organism receives a stimulus, it responds to that stimulus, and the response may be in the form of movement of whole organism or the movement of any part of an organism, and these whole movements are controlled and are triggered by a specific system called as nervous system, and this nervous system causes control and coordinated activities. Now comes what is coordination. Coordination is a working together of various organs of the body of an organism in a proper manner to produce proper reaction to a stimulus. कोऑर्डिनेशन वो फिनोमिनन है जिसमें जो हमारी बॉडी के सभी ऑर्गन्स हैं वो कलेक्टिवली काम करते हैं किसी भी स्टिमुलस के लिए रिस्पॉन्स प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए. एंड व्हाट इज स्टिमुलस? स्टिमुलस आर द चेंजेस इन द एनवायरनमेंट टू विच एन ऑर्गेनिज्म रिस्पॉन्ड और रिएक्ट. Every organism give response to a stimulus, and this response is known as taxis. The taxis may be positive or negative. Positive taxis is movement towards the stimuli. For example, if a plant is kept in sunlight, the path from which sunlight is coming, the plant bend towards that side. And the negative taxis is when organism move away from the stimulus. For example, if we have an earthworm and we keep it in light, it tends to move away from light, and this is called as negative taxis, that is movement away from stimuli, and stimuli here is light. In one part plant moves towards light, that is positive taxis, and in second earthworm moves away from light, and that is negative taxis. The whole process of control and coordination requires gathering information about the changes in external environment and then transmitting this information to the internal cells located away from the body surface, and then there is an exchange of information between the cells situated away from each other, and these information produces a response. The control system is of two types. In human body, the control system is of two types. First is nervous system and second is endocrine system. In nervous system, the role is played by neurons, and in endocrine system, the role is played by hormones. Nervous system. Neurons are the chief organs which produces the responses, and these neurons transmits nerve impulses. These nerve impulses are speedy, flexible and localized. The nervous system has two types of nervous system, that is central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. Brain has again three parts, that is forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain, and brain and spinal cord gives off cranial nerves and spinal nerves respectively. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pair of spinal nerves, and these nerves forms peripheral nervous system. This peripheral nervous system is again of two types, that is autonomous nervous system and voluntary nervous system. Autonomous nervous system is of two types, that is sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. Now we will discuss brain in detail. Brain is the uppermost part of central nervous system. It has highest coordinating center. It is enclosed in a skull called cranium. The human skeleton has a skull in which brain is present. The study of brain is called as encephalology. Now what is brain? Brain is a soft whitish organ mainly of 1 to 1.2 to 1.4 kg. It contains neurons. It is surrounded by three membranes called mannings. Mannings provide protection. In these mannings there is a fluid which is called as cerebrospinal fluid, and this fluid prevents mechanical shock. This is a clear, colorless, alkaline fluid present in ventricles of brain. There are about 4 ventricles of brain. Now the structure of brain, internal structure of brain, in which these are mannings and these are the gyri and sulci. The whole brain is divided into three parts, that is forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Forebrain is the largest part. It consists of cerebrum, and the midbrain is small and the hindbrain is also small. In hindbrain we have cerebellum, pons, varoli and medulla oblongata. This is the internal structure of brain. And now we will discuss about all the parts in detail. Brain has three parts, that is forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. Forebrain is also called as prosencephalon. It consists of olfactory lobes, cerebrum and diencephalon. Midbrain is called as mesencephalon and hindbrain is called as rhombencephalon. Hindbrain has cerebellum, pons varolii and medulla oblongata. The cerebrum of forebrain is divided into two parts with the help of cerebral fissure, and these two parts are called as cerebral hemisphere. It is the largest part of brain and it is greatly folded into gyri and sulci. The folds are gyri and the depressions are called as sulci. The forebrain is divided into four lobes and these areas serves different functions. Each four lobes have association area which store information and experience. Each cerebral hemisphere possesses a fluid-filled cavity and this is called as lateral ventricle, and these ventricles consist of cerebrospinal fluid which protects the brain from mechanical shocks. This is the brain in which there is a showing of works which brain does. For example, this is a motor area from which responses are conducted, and this is a sensory area where responses are collected. For example, this area is for touch, smell, taste, hearing, and this is for speech. This is frontal lobe. The parietal lobe has motor area, sensory area. This is the occipital lobe in which vision takes place. This is spinal cord and this is temporal lobe. Temporal lobe is for hearing. The four lobes: frontal, temporal, occipital and parietal lobe. Frontal lobe coordinates speech, facial, muscular activities and mental activities. Temporal lobe has auditory receptors. Occipital lobe has visual receptors. Parietal lobe has touch, taste, smell, temperature and conscious association. Now olfactory lobe. It is widely separated, club-shaped small structures. These are visible in ventral section. If we see brain in this type, then we are able to see olfactory lobe. And we have olfactory bulbs joined with olfactory stalk, and these are present inside the brain, which we see in ventral view. And these receive impulse from olfactoreceptors. This is for smell. Next we have diencephalon. It is the inferior side of cerebrum. Its roof is called as epithalamus, sides are called thalami and floor is called hypothalamus. In hypothalamus we have our main gland, that is pituitary gland, and in diencephalon there is a narrow cavity called third ventricle. Two ventricles are present in cerebrum, third is present in diencephalon. Here pituitary gland is present in hypothalamus. Pituitary gland is called as hypophysis. It is attached by a stalk to hypothalamus. It controls hunger, thirst, fatigue, sleep, body temperature, sweating, emotion, secretes neurohormones. We have midbrain. Midbrain is a small region. There are two fiber tracts called as crura cerebri and two swellings called as superior and inferior colliculi on each side. There are two superior colliculi in one side and inferior colliculi in other side. These four colliculi are collectively called as corpora quadrigemina. The superior colliculi has sight reflexes, whereas inferior colliculi has auditory reflexes. Crura cerebri connects hindbrain with forebrain. The midbrain controls eye muscles. Now hindbrain has cerebellum, pons varolii and medulla oblongata. Cerebellum is the second largest part of brain. It has two cerebral hemispheres and a central vermis. The cerebellum controls posture maintenance, equilibrium and muscle tone. Pons varolii has aspects of respiration, whereas medulla oblongata is the posterior most part of brain and it lies below cerebellum. It has a fluid-filled cavity called as fourth ventricle. Four ventricles are present, two are present in cerebellum, one is present in diencephalon and third is present in medulla oblongata. These four ventricles has cerebrospinal fluid which prevents the brain from shock. Now function of medulla oblongata is it controls heartbeat, breathing movements, expansion and contraction of blood vessels means it regulates blood pressure, It also controls swallowing, coughing, vomiting, and sneezing. This is the structure of brain and spinal cord. This is a spinal cord which moves through the vertebral column. We know that there is a centrum cavity between each vertebra, and from this cavity the spinal cord moves. The spinal cord is a cylindrical structure about 45 cm long, and there are about 31 pairs of nerves arising from this spinal cord. This spinal cord has a fluid-filled cavity called central canal. It conducts sensory and motor impulses, and it is a center of reflex action as it reduces the brain work because the immediate functions are done by the spinal cord. Now, the 12 pair of nerves from brain and 31 pair of nerves from spinal cord forms peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system is of two types: voluntary peripheral nervous system and involuntary peripheral nervous system. Voluntary peripheral nervous system is under the control of will. That is, voluntary peripheral nervous system works according to the control of an organism, whereas involuntary is against the wish. Here nerves arise directly from central nervous system. Here nerves are from both cranial and spinal nerves, and these cranial and spinal nerves are called visceral nerves. These nerves are present in visceral organs of an organism. Cranial nerves 12 pairs. These are sensory, motor, and mixed. First, second, and eighth pair is called as sensory. Third, fourth, sixth, 11th, 12th is motor. 5th, 7th, 9th, and 10th is mixed. Spinal nerves. There are 31 pairs. These all are mixed nerves. Visceral nerves. These are from both spinal cord and brain. These forms autonomic nervous systems, and it operates automatically. It controls the activities of internal organs like lungs, kidneys, heart, urinary bladder, blood vessels, glands. These are visceral organs of our body, and the nerves are therefore called as visceral nerves. The autonomic nervous system is divided into two types, that is parasympathetic and sympathetic. These both have opposing effect, means if one stimulate any organ, the other disstimulate it. For example, if parasympathetic nerves decreases the contraction, the sympathetic nerve increases it. For example, and if parasympathetic nerves stimulate secretion of gastric juices, it inhibits the secretion. And the working of brain is recorded in a graph form with the help of electroencephalograph. It records the electrical activity of brain in the form of graph, and the electrical activities are due to potential developed in nerves. And we know that with the help of these potentials, information transfers from one neuron to second neuron. This is whole about brain and spinal cord. We will discuss about neurons and reflex action in next video. Thank you. If you have any doubt, you can ask in comment section.